よりこの私がローベント家の当主となる。
And next week we're recruiting our first waifu. What's going on, my friends? Welcome to Spring Anime 2024. I'm your host, Dom. What's going on, my friends? I'm Dom. I'm from the Otaku Room. If it's your first time here, thank you so much for clicking on the channel. If I vibe with you, if you vibe with me, make sure you hit me with the subscribe and, of course, that big old like a Rooney, because it tells YouTube that, hey, that dude does suck that much. Of course, you can dislike as well, too, and that tells YouTube that, hey, that guy does suck that much. Okay, so today we're talking about, as a reincarnated aristocrat, I'll use my appraisal skill to rise in the world. Again, the competition for longest anime name is never ending. It's just a continual competition, and everyone's vying for a chance at the top spot. So here's the thing with this show is if you're not familiar with me on the channel, I'm pretty much 98%, 99% anime only. There are certain instances that I'll come across a show that I actually have some familiarity with the source material. My whole shtick here on YouTube is, you know, I'm a dad. I have 2 YouTube channels. I work full time. I really, outside of like, you know, being able to maybe play some games for review, being able to watch an anime here and there for review, I don't have a whole lot of time to read. So it's very rare that I come across an anime that I'm familiar with the source material. Sure, there'll be a, you know, a Rent-A-Girlfriend or a Sword Art Online or something that, you know, I happened to read, you know, a long time ago that comes up. But it's very rare that, you know, there's an anime that I'm familiar with the manga or the light novel. Well, in the case of Reincarnated Aristocrat, I believe, and I'm not, you know, I don't even know. I would have to go look at my web history. I think I read the web novel, and I think I read it last year sometime. And I'm actually familiar with this source material, and that doesn't really happen for me very much. And if you've been on the channel, you know that like I pretty much am never familiar with the source material. So that's kind of where this conversation starts here. Is I don't think that episode 1 of this show, removing what I know about the source material, I don't think it's good enough to say like, oh, you gotta watch this, as you begin to compare this against other shows that are also launching this season. So if I look at like just other shows, right? If I look on and you know, I'll share with you guys. But there's a crazy amount of anime coming out this season, and that's my wallpaper. So Persona 3 Reload, you guys should play that. But if I look on Live Chart, right, like you have Spice and Wolf that came out yesterday. You have That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime. You got obviously Mushoku Tensei coming out. You know, Irregular at Magic High School. You know, there's tons and tons of shows. My Hero Academia, Konosuba, Demon Slayer, right? There's tons and tons of shows that are vying for, you know, but your time and attention. So it's like, okay, how well can I really recommend this show? Well, based on episode 1, I would say that it's keeping pretty close, not 1 for 1, but decently close to the web novel or the manga. It's keeping pretty close in pace with that. And next episode, we're going to meet, you know, our first waifu, as ours looks to go and pad out, I guess you could say, like, pad out his kingdom, pad out his retainers, right? He's trying to find really skillful people that he can utilize throughout the years, you know, as he begins to age, and people with a lot of untapped potential that would go or continue to be untapped if he wasn't the one to come and tap on the shoulder of, right? So based on that, I think it's gonna be a slower burn. So I have 3 recommendations. One is don't watch it every week, and I do think this is 100% worth your time down the line. So my first recommendation is don't watch this every week. Let it stack up and come back when you have free time, when you have nothing else to do, when you're at the end of the season. Come back and watch it later. So that's recommendation 1. Recommendation 2, skip it entirely if you know, your standard isekai, your standard isekai fantasy magic character kind of being OP, if that's not your jam, you know, if that's not your like your cup of tea and you're like, it takes a lot for me to really like that show, that's number 2, is just skip it. Number 3 is if there was an inkling, a twinkling, a little something here for the show that you're like, I'm kind of liking, maybe it's ours, maybe it's the first retainer he has, maybe it's the kind of the world that it showed you, maybe you like the maid in the glasses, whatever it is. If there's something there that you're like, I kind of like this, then come back with me and we're gonna watch this every week, because this show is really, really good. And this, you know, again, my memory's hazy, so don't quote me for exact, but like it begins going fast after he gets some of his retainers. And like really cool stuff begins to happen, and I'm really excited to see that. And I'm glad that I don't really remember it perfectly. Like it was something that I remember reading like in passing, so I'm glad I don't remember it perfectly, because I can come in and genuinely react to the show. But I do remember really, really loving this one a lot, and I remember not finishing it. So that's the other thing too, is like I wonder where we're gonna finish and where it's gonna go and stuff like that. And I'm really excited to see it, because really ours has this really unique ability to not only kind of be powerful in his own right, and it showed us this episode, like he has the appraisal ability. You know, he got into this world because he got hit by Heart Attack Kun, not Truck Kun, not Boat Kun, not Train Kun, Heart Attack Kun. It's becoming more popular, Heart Attack Kun, lately. He got hit by Heart Attack Kun. He got put into this world. He got reborn as a baby. We didn't see his first 3 years of life. We got it kind of like picked up right where he's 3. But you kind of see the writing on the walls, right? It's like, okay, he's going to start, you know, building his little army, building retainers. He's going to start building his populace. He has a smaller kingdom, a smaller noble domain. He's a minor noble. He's going to begin building up his kingdom with all these really powerful people. He already has an army and a domain of folks. He can begin seeing like, oh, you shouldn't be a baker, you should be this. And he can start, you know, figuring out how he can weave that in as he sees people's potential, you know? And you can see how like stuff can really start being really cool. So if you like shows that is isekai, but that's more like, what would be a good one to kind of recommend here? Like Realist Hero Rebuilds a Kingdom. If you kind of like shows like that, like if you like shows like Realist Hero, to where the hero's OP, but not in the way that's like your standard, like he's a hero, but OP in a way to where the skill that he's given, like it's a crafting skill or a blacksmith skill or a farming skill, that one skill is what makes him OP, not necessarily that he can go take on the Demon Lord and solo the Demon Lord. If you like shows like that, I really think that this has a lot. This episode kind of showed you a lot of its colors already, and I think the animation is pretty good. I like the way ours is depicted. I like that it showed us, well, I like and dislike that it showed us that dad died and he takes over the domain later. It's kind of like sped up. You know, I don't think they really needed to show us that to really sell us on the show, but the fact that they did, it was there. You know, you can kind of see like, okay, he's going to eventually take on the domain. How does the dad die? Is there a war that breaks out? What ends up happening there? So a lot of interesting stuff that the show really represented already. So far, Reincarnated Aristocrat, I'm loving it. I like everything that it's doing here, and I can't wait to cover this every single week on the channel. So stick with me right here. Make sure you guys hit like. Let me know your comments down below. Are you 1, 2, or 3? Are we waiting to binge? Are we skipping entirely? Or are you gonna be with me each week? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you decide to return, I'll see you guys next week, my friends. Peace.